Hi, Scott Hathaway here for the Hathaway Tool module on Market Analyst 8, talking about the Vector Concentric Circle tool. I'm going to pull up a chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, DJI. Hit return. Let's make this a monthly chart, and I'm going to show you how this circle is an extension of my vector tool. It would be great if you watched the video on the vector tool first. Some of the concepts that I discussed there with my relative charting will come into play here, although I am going to also be explaining it here. But I see the vector concentric circle tool and then the next tool, the dual vector concentric circle tool, as being extensions, logical extensions of the vector tool. Now as I look at this expanding pattern happening here on the Dow, I would like to analyze price movement from the perspective of this trend going down here. Let's say I could analyze it from here, from here. Let's just take a look at this, and I will use that as a way of using this vector concentric circle tool. Let's see, is my magnet on? I think my magnet's on. I'm going to go to the high of 11,750.28, which you can see down the bottom on the info bar there in the lower left. And I'm going to drag it down to the low here of 7197.49 on October 2002. Let's round that up a little bit to 7200. I don't think that's a far stretch. Now that's going to come into play in a few minutes, and those of you who did see the previous video might be figuring out what I'm going to be doing. Now notice how the circle naturally comes to it. The value of the vector concentric circle, one of the values over the other circles that are offered, is that it can go directly onto 2 points. You can select one point for, let's say, the concentric circles tool, which is a great tool. I use it in tandem with this tool, except the second point is done anywhere you want that you can select. Normally you have to pull it out laterally this way, and you can't always get it exact to make a trend, a vector, be a radius. So here you see what looks like the vector tool with a circle added. It's that simple. And I've got all the same information that a vector tool gives me, but I get my circle added. And being able to select that second point is really valuable because I can get the circle to be absolutely exact. And now when I expand this circle, the circles will be true expressions of this. I'm not kind of fudging exactly where it would be to perfectly hit this point. Now, as you remember from the vector tool concepts, or those of you who are new to this, the vector ratio on the bottom here is very important. It is the division of the price movement, listed as top, 4552.79 points down, over 33 months. There's an interesting number, but it's a short video, so we won't discuss it. 33 dividing into 4552.79 gives me 137.9633 points per month. It also is listing the angle, which is 305.9254, but since I haven't set the lock ratio over here, although it happens to be almost exactly 100, and that's interesting. Oh, let's make it 100. Ooh, look, it's almost exactly 306, which is 36 degrees from 270, and it's complement 54, which in other words, it's 2/5. That's a very interesting thing. At 100 points per month, in a Gann conventional geometric environment, this angle, this vector is actually at almost exactly a harmonic angle, a fractional division of 90 degrees. That's cool. First off, let's put a crosshair on the high, excuse me, which is acting as the center of this circle. But what I'd like to do is set this so that we'll first start off by making this 45 degrees. So I'm going to take the vector ratio and enter that into here, 137.9633. And it makes it exactly 45 degrees, as you can see here. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Now, you can also do that by right-clicking on the open space here, anywhere here, other than, don't right-click on the price, but on the open space, and then you'll go to the edit icon here, the pencil, and you get all these different choices you have. This is where you can enter the lock price ratio here. If it's unclicked, all you have to do is just click it and the window will show up, enter your number. The shortcut's here, but this is kind of nice because you get a little more control, you get a lot more things going on here that you have access to. Let's get back to the chart. You'll notice that this is a 45 degrees. You'll also notice that if you back it up a little bit to when it was 100 points, let's do that right now. Watch the expansion or contraction, or the compression or expansion of price. So you're expanded there because the points per month was lower. Now by entering that vector ratio, it squashed price a little. So you see the geometric relationships are going to be a little different. I mean, it's all proportional to itself the same way, but the angles and the circles will land in different spots, and that's the key to providing a different way of looking at price. So here we have the circle, and the first thing I notice is the top of the circle here gives you resistance at the high. So right there we have a result. It's at 45 degrees. Now, let's do the most basic function of this circle, as the name implies, vector concentric circles tool. And the concentric circles, unlike the concentric circle tool where you go to levels, the level aspect actually pulls out certain angles that have to do with radians. And let's actually go over to here. We'll get to radians a little later on. Let's go over to here. 314.999 is basically trying to say 315. You can turn the text on and off. It's basically all the same kind of things that you have with the vector tool, font size, except you have some different things down here. If you want to get to what would be the vector, that's the radius. So radius line style gives you all the options that you had, except you have a different one. You can also add a tangent on or off, and you notice that the tangent helps identify some price action here. It's not spectacular, but it's interesting. It's nothing to brag about in this situation, but sometimes tangents actually can offer a lot. So radius line, turn the tangent off. You can extend the radius left or right, which is great because this radius in this case is a 45-degree line, which I'll keep going. The circle style, you can control the circle style. What the circle is, the width, color, transparency, all your basic stuff, and the full tool transparency and its visibility. You also get squares around the circle, a grid that can continue. Basically, this is an extension of the vector, just the way the vector tool was. So you have some extra things that you can mess around with, look around with, experiment with, explore, see what you can come up with. Let's turn the grid on and off. Square off here, and you can extend it this way, of course. So we'll turn the square off here. Now what I want to show you is the harmonics. This is literally the concentric circles aspect of it. It's called harmonics here, because the way that I express it here, in this case, is you enter it here. You can put 1 in there, and it will literally be one circle, another one, another one, another one. And you'll notice just by doing that, you can control what it looks like. I'll go back and right-click the vector to get the icons. If you right-click the circle itself, it won't pop up. You have to right-click the actual vector itself. And I'm going to go over to harmonic style. I'm going to make them solid, just like the circle. Now when I look at it, they're perfect expressions of the circle. There's your top. And the edge of the circle helps facilitate that top as well. You'll notice that this circle here and the edge of the circle help identify the bottom. Now we go over to the circle here. That's where the market started to go sideways, then topped here. And I'm going to take the magnet off so I can get the crosshair to go right on the circle. It's kind of right in between these two periods, indicating this whole area right here. So this whole corrective period seems to kind of be called by the circle and the outside of the circle. Very interesting. Especially here combined with the top of the circle. What a price time target that would have given you back here. Really would have made the grade. I really wish I had this chart a couple years ago. I immediately would have put that out. Anyway, I didn't, and that's what happens. So now I'd like to add half circles. I want to divide these in half, and you could go over to here and just put a half in there, except it's going to make all of them the same look, and I want it simply to look different. So I'm going to put copy tool, go back over, put my magnet on, go to here, and it's perfectly doubled. I will right click on the vector and go over to the fractional harmonics and put 0.5. Go to the harmonic style. Some of you are looking at the points now perhaps, and put dash because I like halves to be dashed. There's your bottom. There's a point right here where the market, after going sideways and choppy, decides to trend back up again. So that's an important point. This half circle gave you this in retrospect, since this low had to occur before any of this would happen, but it's still harmonic and it's still in there. And actually, if you go back here, you get the top of the crash of 1987. How about that? And when the market made a correction in 94. So you'll see that the top, the bottom, this bottom, right here the market didn't top here and drop. It actually went sideways and showing it went back up to here and now is trying to figure out what's going on, although it seems that this low area here, this drop, is associated with the circle as mentioned. So the vector concentric circles tool is perfectly done through 2 points, not 1 point and bringing it out, which has its advantages too. The advantages to this, of course, you can get completely accurate with 2 points, setting a vector as a radius. I want to show now another choice that you can do where you don't have to set it to 45 degrees. Let's do that like this. Once again, single code chart. Actually, let's try it another way. I'm going to clone the chart. Let's right click on the spot here, somewhere in the chart. Clone chart. This is a great mechanism for market analysts to do this with the page because I can just go off on different analysis like this and they're all on the same page. They're all grouped together. So what we're going to do now is instead of seeing this at 45 degrees, I want to see this at 72 degrees. Why 72? If you remember from the vector tool video, on the All Ordinaries Index, there was a high of, what was it, 68.732 or something like that. And I turned that into an angle, 68.732 degrees. And then when I set the vector, the trend to the price of the high divided by 100, I got miraculous results. Let's do the same thing here. This low is 7,200 basically. It's 7197.49, which is 2.51 points off of 7,200. Divided by 100, 72 is 4/5 of 90 degrees. It's also 1/5 of a circle, 360. It's a very structural angle. It's a very important angle. And the way to do that, as I discussed in the other video, is to take the vector ratio, which is 137.9633, is given to me by my vector aspect of the tool, and we divide by the desired angle. That was the rule we learned in the other video. So the angle we want, 72 degrees, the tangent of that angle. So we divide the vector ratio here, 137.9633, by the tangent of 72. And we get 44.82, let's round that up to 7. Almost 45, as in 45 degrees. 44.827. So I can right click and go do it this way, or I could just pop it in here. 44.827, a number I now know very well. Of course, go up here and make it 1,000, so we get a lot of room here on the history slider. That's a move you're going to get used to real fast. So, wow, this is starting to look pretty accurate. When you have 2 circles on and you start moving things around, sometimes they line up. There we go. Well, I'd say this first of all is my favorite chart. I'm leading you into a trap here. I love this chart, and I couldn't wait to show it to you. Why? Because it shows out the vector concentric circle in relative charting, and I used the low to set the angle of the vector. And actually, let's turn off that and make it just look like that. And we'll go move to back. Move to back makes one of those circles go to the back so I can get to the other one. Then I click on that, and I can turn that off too. This is 72 degrees. It's 1/5 here, 4/5 here. Okay? Now, there's your top. Next big top, reversal. Notice when it hits the market the first time on this circle, it has to hit the circle. It doesn't have to hit this. That differentiates the action of this circle and this circle. It's already outside of the circle when the geometry is formed after this low is established. It did though, and it sent the market sideways. It did not make a major reversal as shown after. You would have to wait till here for it to come back up to say that's not what's happening. But what's important is hitting this circle, the expression of the radius here. This did assist, and actually if you go to 2/3 you get the bottom here, but when you hit this circle here, it reverses, major reversal, hits the circle the second time, and crashes. That's the financial crisis of 2008. It literally is hits the circle right in between the months of September and October. It opened right at or out just outside the circle in October and dropped straight down. It did not reverse, but it reversed here, hit it first time, reversed, hit it the second time, and dropped. Major, strong move in the direction of the reversal. hit the next circle, reversed, hit the circle again, broke through it with a strong move up. It did the same dynamic in reverse as it did going down. It's identical. Reversal, strong move down, reversal, strong move up. And who says the market is haphazard? What's that random walk theory? Well, you know, they don't really fit in circles, random walk theories. Although, at the same time, markets can do anything at any time. It's a weird dichotomy. Now, if I go across from this circle, remember we did that in the other one, we're actually helping to identify the support area where it's bouncing back on the circle. When it hit the circle here, this circle for the first time, it's repeating this dynamic or this dynamic? No, it's not. It's hitting the circle the first time, major reversal. Hits the circle the first time, major reversal. Hits this circle for the first time in September of last year. The next month, right on it, October, dropped. The whole market crashed. And as I'm watching, looking at this as a red candle intra-month, going, well, here we go. But no, it came back up and closed above the circle saying, no, I don't think so. We are not repeating this behavior. Therefore, all bets are off for a large expanding pattern of 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C, D, E. It's A, B, C, correction is over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're in an impulse wave. That's the implication of this. It's saying, no, I'm not doing that. So it went up, but I had to come back and test it again. And so what I'm looking for is a reversal of one of the next circles. So this is another way to use the vector concentric circle tool and combine it with another one, tools, in a relative charting environment. So the markets do move in very geometric ways. It's just a matter of how we crack them. Now actually let's show you what I did with the all ordinaries chart. And I'll show you with a circle. I'll just do this real quick. I want to sneak this in. Now, I set it to 1 month, and we're good. And I'm going to use my vector concentric circle tool instead of the vector tool, but do basically the same thing. Put it up here. We get that vector ratio 75.1232, which is almost exactly 75 points per month, which is very interesting. 3/4 of 100, or 5/6 of 90 degrees, which is something I like to look at. Now, I'm going to use the high to set the angle. The high, if you look down the lower left on the info bar, see the numbers moving around when I do that, we get 6873.20. So I'm going to take that vector ratio, break out my calculator, 75.1232, divided by that high with the decimal point moved over, tangent, and I get 29.241, round that up to 1, 29.241. So I right click here, or what the hell, let's go down here. Okay, and well, I might as well right click here because I have to add more spaces on my history slider. So now I go over to here. Okay. Now, that's the circle here. Now you'll notice that the edge of the circle goes here, and we haven't quite hit that yet. That's kind of interesting, because I'm going to look out for that as a point. What if I take a vector concentric circle and go from the top of the circle here. Now actually, let's adjust that center so it's right on there. And we'll take the original circle and just kind of make it a little less small. Tool transparency will make it a little less visible. Okay, so we can still see it, but I'm emphasizing what happens when you take the maximum expression straight up as the center. Now all of a sudden you get your support arc, and we broke it. Okay, that's not good news. However, there's a light at the end of the tunnel there, because if you happen to take this point and that point and divide it in half, I'm going to use my Fibonacci retracement levels here. Look at that half level. You see, if you went 50% here, you don't get it. You get a 50% of the range that's kind of really sketchy. You're wondering what's going on there. You get a little play here. But all of a sudden, if you take its full circular value in this unusual geometric charting environment, all of a sudden 50% is a heck of a lot more meaning. So you see, it's an adjustment by the top price, giving you the angle to set the vector at. So let's bring that back to its full amount. And so this is a very harmonic bottom. It's beautiful support circle and a very harmonic bottom. And there's a lot more geometry you could do with this as well. Notice I'm not even using any concentric circles in this. I'm just using the circles themselves with their accuracy at points. So these are some things that you can do with vector concentric circles. I hope that you enjoy the video, and I look forward to talking to you for the dual vector concentric circles next and the parabolic curves. Thank you very much. Take care.